Hear ye, Carol Roth here for Goldline to talk about the pending death of King Dollar. The following content does not constitute financial investment or tax advice. It is being provided for informational purposes only. You should consider any investment based on your own financial position, risk tolerance, and other factors. Please consult your own advisors before making any decision to invest. The status of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency has made it King Dollar for about 8 decades. This was dubbed an exorbitant privilege, emphasizing the benefits that go along with being the center of the global financial universe. Countries around the world came to agree that the US dollar was generally stable, and while perhaps they were not thrilled with the US's position, they played along for some time. These countries would pay for goods and services in dollars, and therefore would keep dollar-denominated assets like treasuries in reserve to be available for payments. This helped keep interest rates suppressed within the American system, and that gave the U.S. an arbitrage opportunity. But nobody benefited from this arrangement more than the U.S. government, which used the privilege of cheap debt to finance its unwieldy and growing spending. As the Federal Reserve and the government have been careless with the dollar, not protecting its stability and purchasing power, plus weaponizing King Dollar at their whim, other countries around the world have become increasingly dissatisfied with the current financial world order. The king is dying. Long live the king? Well, after a few-year pause, China is adding to its gold reserves again. At the same time, they have been shedding their US Treasury holdings. Once the largest foreign holder of US government debt, China has now dropped back into the number 2 position. In November of 2021, China held about $1.1 trillion worth of US Treasury securities, and a year later, their holdings were down to $870 billion. There's no doubt that China does not like the US dollar supremacy. And given the derelict management of the dollar over the past decade and a half, China has fair reason. When dollars are more expensive and the same dollar buys less today than it did in the past, and critical commodities like oil and food are priced in dollars, it threatens China's food and energy supply. Now, China could also see an opportunity to strengthen their own currency and global financial standing. Adding gold reserves could signal that China is trying to persuade other countries of the stability of their yuan. But China is not the only country adding gold to their reserves and raising concerns about the dollar's role in the global financial order. Central banks bought record amounts of gold last year, totaling 1,136 tons per the World Gold Council. China, which is the world's largest net importer of oil, has been putting more pressure on Saudi Arabia and other oil exporters to let them pay for oil in yuan, not dollars. And with the BRIC nations now courting the Saudis and Iran, well, this potentially means less of a role for the dollar, perhaps even more of a role for gold as currency backer. Now, there are a number of emerging market countries around the globe who have been moving away from the dollar in recent years. There's also been increasing discussions regarding creating other reserve currencies. Whether those currencies function for certain global blocs and alliances, or maybe are adopted more broadly, gold and other precious metals are leading candidates to play a role in backing such endeavors. With the U.S. government unwilling to pull back their spending, the Federal Reserve unwilling to stabilize the dollar for the good of the world, or frankly the United States either, and concerns over the U.S.'s continued weaponization of the dollar and its financial bullying, well, these new global financial order discussions are likely to become more frequent and urgent. Of course, with China, it's hard to tell what anything is about. I mean, their recent gold buying could be hedging and insurance in preparation of other undertakings, maybe even an invasion of Taiwan. Now, if you recall, Russia also shed foreign currency reserves and loaded up on gold before their Ukraine invasion and before seeing their reserve assets frozen by the U.S. and other allied countries. Should there be increased global instability from any potential Chinese aggressions, your need for strong hedges, including hard assets in particular, increases. Now, none of this seems bullish for the U.S. or the U.S. dollar. The question comes down to timing and scope. It does, however, underscore the urgency for you hedging against the dollar, just like other countries are doing, including considering gold and other precious metals. Now, this doesn't mean that the dollar goes away. It may mean that it plays less of a prominent role in global finance, and with that creates more issues for your wealth creation and preservation. So what do? Well, if you are a subject of King Dollar, that is, you store your wealth in dollars, all of this points to more risk at hand. Countries around the world are wary of their continued dependence on the US dollar as a store of value. You need to heed their warning. Creating your own insurance policy and storing a portion of your wealth in a form factor that you can control and isn't actively being manipulated by one government entity makes financial sense. Now, I believe that gold and other precious metals represent a good means of hedging your portfolio. If major countries around the world and their central banks are looking to gold, well, that's a pretty compelling data point in terms of the world's view of it as a hedge amidst a rocky global financial backdrop. Now, if you're going to go this route, it is imperative, in my opinion, that you purchase physical gold and work with a reputable firm. Consider giving my friends at Goldline a call. They are the only company from which I get my precious metals, and they will help you sort through your questions. And in fact, if you call Goldline at 800-319-9533 or visit goldline.com, they have a special offer for their Betsy Ross Freedom Round, which happened to be designed by me and is exclusively available through Goldline. With a qualified purchase, get one copper Betsy Ross Freedom Round for free with every silver one you purchase. That's 800-319-9533 or goldline.com. What may ultimately kill the dollar as the global reserve currency is hard to predict, but there are many entities hoping King Dollar is overthrown. When it happens, it will be the carelessness of the Fed and the government with the exorbitant privilege that is the root cause of the fall of the empire. Make sure you are planning today so you don't get caught in the fallout. I'm Carol Roth for Goldline. I'll see you next time. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of Carol Roth and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Goldline or its parent company or affiliates. These views and opinions may have been previously disseminated in other media.